Welcome friends to another 40k video. Today we're going to look at the Emperor of Mankind versus Horus Lupercal from the Realm of Chaos, the Lost and the Damned. So this is very early lore and how it is shown at that time. Let's get straight into it. Hope flickers within the Emperor. The shields of Horus's ship are down briefly. He wonders why. Is the traitor's confidence so overwhelming? Does he wish to witness the battle himself, or is it a trap? The Emperor touches the ship and recoils from what he senses within. How could Horus have done this, made a pact with the ultimate abomination? The Emperor comes to a decision. Trap or not, this is the only opportunity he will get to end this. He has no option but to seize it. The position is so desperate. Even as his spirit returns to his body, the ominous thought strikes him that the War Master must know this. A flash of light, a feeling of coldness. They have teleported into the War Master's ship, the Vengeful spirit. The Emperor takes an instant to reorientate himself and realizes that something has gone wrong. He stands in a vast, warped chamber with only a few Marines in attendance. The Terminators and the Primarchs are not present. How is this possible, he wonders. Could Horus have disrupted the teleportation beam? Is he that powerful? Insane voices gibber madly inside his skull. There are figures trapped in the stone walls of the vast room. Hands reach out for him, grasp at him with rock-like strength. He shrugs them off easily. His comrades are not so lucky. Bolters chatter and flash as the Marines attempt to fight off the demonic assailants. A man screams as he's drawn into the dark and slimy walls. As he vanishes, ripples spread from his point of disappearance. The Emperor's sword lashes out, severing limbs, freeing trapped Marines. He summons his psychic energies. A nimbus flickers around his head as he unleashes his power. A tidal wave of destruction rips through the demons, leaving his own men unscathed. They wander through a ship, disorientated beyond all recognition by the warping flesh of chaos. Great shrink-to doors distend from the walls of flesh-like stone. Transparent veins bear rivers of blood along conduits in the floor. Carpets of mucus cover a road of tongues. Winged and distorted things that might have once been human flit through archways of bone and perch on ledges of rib. The Marines gasp in horror. He exerts himself to calm them, psychically soothing their fear of this dreadful place. All the while he scans the area looking for the spore of Horus. He knows now the nature of the pact the War Master has made and the dreadful consequences of his victory. They pass pits that gape like glistening gullets in the floor and echo the beats of a distant giant heart. They are showered by waterfalls of stinking yellowish liquid that cascades down cliffs of carved cartilage. Sometimes they hear weapons fire, but when they arrive at the source, they find nothing. Mists of rainbow vapour drift across the field of vision, obscuring corridors of carnivorous stone. Clouds of insects swarm over their faceplates and choke the extractors of their air pipes. They switch over to internal oxygen supply. They are ambushed by scuttling skull-faced things in the armour of Marines. They fight hordes of mutated beasts. One by one they die. In the end the Emperor stands alone. Then, and only then, is he allowed to enter the presence of Horus. The War Master bestrides the body of a broken angel, sanguineous. Behind him, the tortured earth fills the viewport, a bauble for Horus to seize with one clawed hand. Corpses of massacred Marines lie everywhere. Face glowing with eternal bloodlight, Horus speaks. Poor Sanguinius, I offered him a position of power in the new order. He could have sat at the right hand of a god. Alas, he chose to align himself with the losing side. The Emperor stands transfixed, trying to force words that are frozen on his tongue. In the end, he can only whisper, "Why?" Mad laughter rings out. Why? You ask me why? Have all those millennia taught you nothing? Weak fool. Your timidity prevented you from binding the forces of chaos. You shied away from the ultimate power. I have bound it to my will and will lead humanity into the new age. I, Horus, Master of Chaos. The Emperor looks at his former friend and shakes his head. He sees the trap that has ensnared Horus. No man can master chaos, he says quietly. You have deluded yourself. You are the servant, not the master. A look of rage transfigures the War Master. He stretches out a hand and a bolt of force leaps forth. The Emperor screams as agony racks his body. Feel the true nature of my power then. Tell me I am deluded, roars Horus in the voice of an angry god. You are deluded, the Emperor says. I let you come here, old friend, so that you could witness my triumph. Kneel before me, and I will spare you. Acknowledge the new master of mankind. Desperately, the Emperor summons his power and lashes out. Lightning flickers between the combatants. The stench of ozone filled the air. The Emperor leaps forward, sword raised. Weapons clash as battle is joined on every level. Physical, spiritual, psychic. Bolts of force flicker as mortal gods clash, balancing the fate of the galaxy on every blow. Runesword and Lightning Claw ring against each other with a sound like thunder. Energies potent enough to level planets are unleashed. A backhand buffet from Horus knocks the Emperor through a stone bulkhead. The counterstroke tears the support column out of the ceiling as the War Master ducks. In the warp, the Emperor hears the Chaos Powers howl as they feed their pawn more power. The Lord of Humanity stands alone against their massed might and knows that he is losing. Somehow he cannot bring his full force to bear on the War Master. Horus shows no such restraint. A lightning claw cuts the Emperor's armour as if it were cloth, shears through flesh and bone. The Emperor riposts with a psychic stroke intended to disrupt the War Master's nervous system. Horus laughs as he deflects it. His claw takes the Emperor across the throat, opening windpipe and jugular. Another blow severs the tendons of his wrist, causing the sword to drop from nerveless fingers. Insane laughter echoes round the chamber. Horus breaks several ribs with an almost playful punch. A surge of energy sears the Emperor's face, melting the flesh till it runs. Bursts an eyeball, sets the hair alight. The Emperor stifles a whimper. Wonders how he can be losing. Blackness threatens to engulf him. Horus grasps his wrist, splintering bone. Blood pumps from the Emperor's throat. Horus lifts his foe above his head and brings him down across his knee, breaking his spine. For a second, the Emperor knows only darkness. Then a flare of energy brings him back to consciousness as Horus rips his arm from its socket. The War Master howls with bestial triumph. Suddenly, the battering stops. Through his good eye, the Emperor sees a solitary Terminator has entered the room. The Marine charges the War Master, Stormbolter blazing. Horus looks at him and laughs. For a moment, he stands triumphant, allowing the Marine to see what he has done to his Emperor. The Emperor knows what is going to happen next, sees the gloating triumph on Horus's face. There is no trace of his friend left there. There is only a demon, driven by insane, destructive fury. Horus turns his burning gaze on the Terminator, and the Marine's flesh flakes away to reveal his skeleton, and then even that is gone, reduced to dust. The Emperor sees the trap that has been set for him. He's been restraining himself, trying not to hurt one who had been as a son to him. Now he sees that there is no trace of this trusted comrade left. He knows that he must stop this semblance of his former friend and avenge the fallen Terminator. He strikes one deadly blow. He will get no other chance. He gathers every particle of his power, focuses it into a mighty bolt of pure force, more coherent than a laser, more destructive than an exploding sun. He aims it at Horus, a lance of power, destined for the madman's heart. Horus senses the upsurge of energy and turns to face the Emperor, a look of horror on his face. The Emperor lets fly. It strikes the War Master. Horus screams as destructive energy rains down on him, twisting and writhing in titanic agony. He strives frantically to counter the Emperor's death blow, but his struggles become ever more feeble as the lethal energies play over him. Driven by all the force of his rage and pain and hatred, the Emperor wills Horus's death. He senses the forces of chaos retreat, disengaging themselves from their palm. As they do so, sanity returns to the War Master. The Emperor sees realization of the atrocities he has committed flicker across Horus's face. Tears glisten there. Horus is free, but the Emperor knows he himself is dying, and that the powers of chaos may once again possess the War Master, and he will not be there to stop them. He cannot take that risk. Horus must die. Yet for a second, looking into his old friend's face, he hesitates, unable to do the deed. Then he thinks of the slaughter that still goes on outside, may go on forever, and his resolve hardens inside. He forces all mercy and all compassion from his mind, empties it of all knowledge of friendship and camaraderie and love. His eyes lock with Horus and see understanding there. Then, with full, cold knowledge of what he is doing, the Emperor destroys the War Master. Rogel Dawn, Loyal Dawn, enters the chamber. Horror fills him as he sees the mutilated form of the Emperor and the shriveled husk inside the War Master's armour. He curses himself for taking so long to fight through their chaotic hordes. He knows now why their attacks ceased and why the ship is reverting to normal. He rushes to the Emperor's side, detecting the faint pulse of life. Perhaps there is yet hope. Perhaps the ruler of the Imperium may live. Dawn will do his best to ensure it. And after that epic fight, friends, I turn things over to you. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you've got any comments to make, one thing I did notice is that in this lore, this old lore, Horus seems to be the Emperor's friend rather than his son. Perhaps I'm misinterpreting that, I'm not sure. And with this video, I've done a full reading rather than summarising like I normally do, because it just felt so epic I didn't want to touch it. So, got something to say? Drop me a comment down below, friends.